topic number 3, which another thing that, and this is probably the oldest of the topics, but there was some more recent news that came out literally just before this podcast, maybe a couple hours ago. But yeah, there was all of the. I'm not going to get into the very specifics of the Justin Roiland stuff. A lot of it's very odd, and I think scandalous, and I think he legitimately was handed down something by the courts, right? He legitimately was like punished.
Did he get charged? Like, no, I mean, did he actually?
I think he got charged.
Well, charged, but did he actually, like, because you can get charged for a bunch of things. I mean, but did he get like convicted?
He got convicted, I think, of domestic. What is it? Domestic battery or domestic? Something like that.
It was like, was it false imprisonment? And it was nasty charges.
I think. I don't want to throw,
He pled not, it says here pled not guilty, but so far
I think he was convicted of domestic battery.
I didn't hear convicted. I could be wrong, though. I mean, hold on. It says he's facing 2 felony domestic abuse charges. So nothing's come down yet. He hasn't gone to the courts. It's all still up in the air, but still.
And then there was a bunch of text that came out and stuff. It's all very odd, but yeah, basically what I wanted to get into was the possible repercussions of what would go on with Squanch Games and High on Life and all of that stuff, because now that is up in the air whether Microsoft is still going to work with them or what's going to happen with that studio altogether. And then I was going to ask you guys what you thought about what was going to happen with Rick and Morty and Adult Swim. But again, just within the last few hours, there is news that came out that Adult Swim decided to cut ties with Justin Roiland, so now he is not a part of Rick and Morty. Which, how is there still a Rick and Morty?
Yeah, that's it. He is Rick and Morty.
And there are 2 creators technically.
Dan Harmon is there. Yeah,
but we know that's Justin Roiland.
Yeah.
All right.
Because he voices
everybody.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, what do you think? Is there still a future for Rick and Morty or Squanch Games? Will we get another High on Life?
The first thing I want to say before we even do that, because, I mean, we've seen this play out a couple of times. The most recent thing that comes to mind was the Depp Heard debacle, right? Where all this basically happened to Johnny Depp X amount of years ago. He lost out on movie contracts. He couldn't be Jack Sparrow anymore, et cetera, et cetera. And then he finally gets his day in court, and things take a different turn. Now, I'm still not saying that he, was scot clean in this whole thing. But like with anything, there's 3 sides. There's the 2 sides of the opposing, and then
I was just gonna say she really crapped the bed when it came to that. Situation. All right, sorry.
Man. There's the 2 sides that are arguing, and then there's the truth that usually is somewhere in between. So nobody, I think, is innocent in this. I have seen the text, and I'm sure most of us have. It's some scummy stuff. But there was some scummy stuff for Depp, too, and I still don't know how it's going to turn out. So I don't know. I just want to say that. I'm not saying I am pro Roiland by any means, or I'm defending him, because there's some rough stuff out there. I'm just saying it's hard to 100% definitively be like, yep, he's guilty until he's been charged. Remember, innocent.
We don't know anything for sure. These are all accusations, speculation. We don't know what's going to happen.
But anyway, continue. Repercussions.
No, that was it. I just wanted to. Well, that was the whole topic prior. I was going to say, what do you guys think is going to happen to Rick and Morty? And now we kind of know it's going to. They announced it's going to continue it. They're they even said they're in the process of finding voice actors.
Probably not going to be the same Rick and Morty, though.
Rick and Morty's going to be done. Like, I think what they're going to try to find voice actors. They might wrap up this 7th season or whatever, but I don't think they're going to continue.
It says through season 10, so they had a bunch of stuff available. I'm going to give it 2 seasons before it hits the bed.
I don't want to put the nail.
I'm just saying.
I don't want to put the nail in the coffin, but that show had a good run. I mean, it's like 10 seasons. I mean, that's like
it's going. No, it's in 7 right now. They are scheduled to go to 10.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to make it. I think they'll finish 7 with whatever they can. Here's the thing: they're going to realize real quick after they try to cast somebody else to do those voices, no one's going to be able to do it the same way, and they're going to lose their audience real quick. I mean, they probably already have, to be honest. Like, people who are not for Roiland are going to jump off this ship regardless.
You know what's crazy? There's a guy on TikTok. I forgot his name, but he does almost 1-to-1 to like half his voice roles.
They're not super hard voices to do, to be fair.
No.
His name's
Dustin. But it's not just the voice.
That's right. It's not just the voice.
Yeah, it's the character.
Exactly.
Yeah, I get it.
The way they carry the dialogue too, not just how you say it, but like how it sets it up. There's comedic timing involved there. I mean, I don't know how much. I mean, I'm sure a fair amount have the actual story and dialogue Roiland wrote. From my understanding, a lot of it was improv. He'd come in like a drunken stupor and they just record him. So if that was how they recorded half the best Rick and Morty moments, that's gone, right?
That should have been their sign.
Yeah,
when he comes in drunk and in a stupor.
Red flag. So I just don't see this panning out. Like I think they'll complete the season they're in. I mean, if they feel like they kind of have to do that, I feel like they're going to start getting ready for season 8. They're going to realize real quick this isn't going to play out, and they're probably just going to drop costs.
You brought up an interesting point though, where like I guess now I agree. Like it probably wasn't necessarily a win-win, because if you keep him on, then there's a chance you lose a large portion of the audience anyways, because they dislike him and what he did, and it's like you're probably going to lose out on a bunch of stuff regardless either way.
The damage is done on this, no matter if Roiland ends up being scot clean or not. Like everything's tarnished, especially right now in the interim, because how long until this goes to the courts? It's going to be years dragged out. Rick and Morty would just be dragged through the mud with it. And honestly, Rick and Morty has already kind of tapered off in recent years' popularity. Like, even if you enjoy the show now, it's not at its peak anymore. I think most would agree.
It's the sauce thing.
No, I think the first 3 seasons are like probably the best.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm. I love the first 3 seasons.
Like Family Guy. No one cares after season 4 or 5 or whatever.
I think the whole thing is just going to fall off, just like how Nickelodeon did with Dan Schneider and Ren and Stimpy, like with John Kay. It's just not gonna. They're gonna try.
10 seconds.
And it's just gonna die, like that. Then the people are gonna notice it really fast. So.
All right, that was it. Any last minute comments?
No one wants to praise Justin Roiland, talk about how much they love him.
Like, I'm not going to go and convict the guy for being guilty, but nothing about this looks good for him. I mean, so...
It's not, like Phoenix said, we're not pro or against. It's what it is. Good luck. And let's see what happens and pans out.
Yeah, the damage to reputation is done.
Yeah, he's not coming back. He's not coming back to Cartoon Network, and that's it.
Who hasn't got domestic charges before? I mean,
you be quiet.
We don't want to hear it. We don't want to hear it.
All right,
we're done.
Moving on. That was Speedrun News. Thanks for tuning in.
That's why we brought Blitz here. Just for the bad PR.
It's alleged. I mean, I don't know.
I'm telling you, man, you need to go read those texts.
But you can't base it off that. Like, there was plenty of nonsense in the text with Depp and Heard too. Like, all that looked terrible for Depp leading up to it. Now, granted, Roiland is not Depp. He doesn't have that same kind of charisma fan base that's going to save him.
Roiland is not Jack Sparrow.
Yeah. But point being is, I mean, you can't look at just one side. Like, Roiland, to my knowledge, hasn't tried to produce anything to the contrary, evidence-wise. Maybe there is nothing, and that could be, the big telltale sign. But until it goes to the courts, you gotta assume there's a chance it could go either way. But
you won't find out for like a year what's gonna happen with this,
if
at all. It'll be quiet. Yeah.
Well, this is not new stuff too. I know we're dragging this out now, but I think these original charges were a couple of years ago. It started. It just recently came back up for, I think some new stuff came out, et cetera, et cetera. It's kind of hitting the mainstream zeitgeist as far as everybody knowing what's going on. So. It's bad for Roiland, no matter how you slice it.
Is it going good?
It's already affected the show and everything.
It doesn't look good, Morty.
I'm actually kind of curious to see what Dan's gonna do. Like, how is this gonna? If he's gonna be the sole person on it, besides with Justin, I want to see how that's gonna go, because then now he has the ball in his court when it comes to the newer seasons coming up.
You gotta have some. You gotta have something. You gotta have something wrong with you to make that show. Let's be honest.
Oh, we don't.
Have you seen some of the jokes from that?
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Oh God! All
All
right.
right, going
I'm
to our
kidding.
main topic. We're only an hour
all
and
I-
42 minutes in, guys.